Right, so we're here with Holly Harris. Holly, it's great to have you back in the Fab paddock once again. You've been turning out quite a lot this season. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be back after missing last year because of BSB, but now we've got more breaks, I can do all the rounds, so it's nice to be back.
And it's great to have you. And of course, you've been doing a lot the past few years. Why don't you just let us know, how it's been going for you? Maybe some plans for the future, perhaps.
So I've got BTC carrying on this year, but for next year, I'm still not sure. There's opportunities and things that we've been thinking about doing and practicing in the winter and things. But at the minute, I haven't got a final plan. But we're talking about doing something different or maybe staying the same.
That's great to hear, and of course, great to have you back at Fab as well, where, obviously one of the great things we have here at Fab is, we have a whole load of female riders coming through as well. You're kind of at the start of that wave, and, how good is it, for young female riders at Fab, with this current push to get more females into motorsport and motorcycle racing?
It's really nice to have all the girls back, really. When I first started, there was only me and Saffron Watley, really, and now we've got so many more girls coming into the rookies, and now Bailey Lawrence in the 50s, and it's nice to see more girls progressing, and then moving on to things like Junior Supersport, where there's more girls in that now as well, so it's nice to see more girls and not just a few here and there.
And well, in terms of your plans for Fab, are you just kind of turning up to go around, or are you actually trying to fight for championships maybe, or is it just a bit of a fun way to spend time on the track?
I think it's a good way of training, a good bit of fun doing the senior minis. I really enjoy it, and it is nice to go for a championship. I was third in the championship a couple of years ago, and it would be nice to try again, but it is ultimately just fun, really.
Well, fingers crossed you one day maybe. Thank you very much for joining us, Harry, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. Bye.
There's a lot of big names in this class as well. HOWARTH, who's already won the race today in a dominant fashion, so I think he'll definitely be wanting to repeat that. And of course, both the BIRKIN brothers, which Ross, I think you can agree, will they both stay on? That's a real question in this race.
Yep. Well, Senior Minimotos it's on a Minimoto bike. That is about as close as you get to the other Minimoto categories. These guys out there, I think insane is the word I'd use. For starters, who as a fully grown adult looks at a Minimoto and goes, yeah, I'll race that? That's just, that takes a different level of crazy as is. And then they go out there and provide some of the most fantastic racing and the fantastic battles that we get race after race, weekend after weekend. And, they get battered up and bruised, and they're always falling off the bikes. They're making just, frankly, silly moves. And yet, every single time, they still show up and they still put in a fantastic performance. And it's great to see a big grid of the Minimotos for the senior category here. Once again, 21 riders making up the grid. And well, I'm sure if you'll watch some of the interviews tomorrow as well that me and Lewis did, you'll be seeing our interview with Harris. You'll be seeing some of what we mean by the Minimoto riders being mental. You'll see Matt BIRKIN running around half naked in the back of one of the interviews. And that's what we caught on camera as well. It was worse off camera, trust me. I won't. You'll have to see it to believe it. Yeah, but let's focus away from Matt BIRKIN's shirtless antics and let's focus on what we've got coming up here. We've got his brother Josh sitting on pole position, Will Howarth alongside him, and a Matt in P3. It's kind of all the usual suspects at the front as we'd expect here in Minimoto here, Lewis. But once again, I'm sure we're expecting a crazy race.
Yeah, we're expecting elbows out absolutely to the white lines, using every single inch of track, and there may be some, but we do know that this round they are enforcing some track limits and quite strict track limits regulations to keep racing as fair as possible. But it's quite a big grid, as you mentioned, 21 riders, 21 grown riders, and well, some talent as well. All these riders are of course talented, but we do have some riders from different championships, such as Holly Harris, who is of course a British Talent Cup rider, but I believe there's some riders in the wrong grid slot, which with such a big grid is understandable, to be honest, as they head out on their warm-up lap.
Absolutely. Why don't we run through the grid, shall we? Josh BIRKIN starts on pole position with Will Howarth in P2. Matt BIRKIN starts in P3. Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS is in fourth place. Craig ASHALL is 5, and the British Talent Cup rider Holly Harris starts in P6. Chris YEOMANS is 7th alongside Nick Bennett. Ross Michael is 9th. Callum WHITE rounds out the top 10. Further back, we've got Reece GENTRY in 11th with Elliot SEARLE in 12th. Shannon KING is 13th. David Meyer in 14th. GOOSEY is 15th. And then in 16th, we have Neil Skinner. Rue Wild is 17th. Duncan DIAPER is 18th. Jessica Lucas is 19th. And Steve Johns is 20th. And rounding out the grid is Rob Gentry in P21. Well, that is a very packed grid of Minimotos that we have there. And, well, once again, I think we're expecting balls to the wall Minimoto action. Zero holds barred racing. And, of course, you know, you're looking at Matt Birkin, Will Howarth, Josh Birkin, Chris YEOMANS, those guys all finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th in the championship last year. Of course, the eventual champion, Mr. Minimoto, Bernie Hook, entering his retirement. If you watch along at home, Bernie, hello. Please come back. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Please come back, we miss you. But it is Will Howarth currently leading this championship. He's won 5 of the 6 races so far, and he's currently, you know, sitting in a very pretty P2 on the grid. It's the final race of the afternoon, the final race ones of the weekend, but don't worry, because after this, tune in tomorrow, we'll have all of the race 2s and 3s, plenty more action for you to enjoy as we get ready for the final race of the day. And it's one of the most crazy, one of the most eventful races of the day. It's the Senior Minimotos, and the lights come on. Lights off. I think it was a bit of a jump start there almost for Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS, but it will be Will Howarth taking the lead into turn 1 from Josh Birkin in P2. Matt Birkin looks like he did get the best of starts, but it is indeed Will Howarth even leading the way from 2nd place on the grid. Josh Birkin in at P2, Matt Birkin into P3, so it wasn't the best of start, but he's managed to hold on to the position that he started further back. Holly Harris challenging Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS for P4, so we've got some changing already, but once again Will Howarth, who's been so dominant this season so far, takes the lead of the race at turn 1.
Yeah, he does, and he's going to try and replicate exactly what he did in the Moto team race, and that is get out front, make a gap, and keep increasing that gap and increasing that gap. As this race is quite hectic, sometimes back markers can come into play, but he's trying to lead out front, coming out of lap 1, just 8 laps to go in this race. This race will come past in a flash. I mean, there's so much talent. I mean, Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS, the tractor, as we mentioned earlier, in 4th place, battling with Holly Harris, and I believe Holly Harris has got a better. Yes, she has. Holly Harris is up in 4th place. Can she get a podium? It's both the Birkins brothers in front of her, so it's pretty fast riders in front of her. This whole race is really fast. I mean, all these riders can battle for the win. As you can see, both the Birkins brothers battling each other. Although they're brothers, they do not care. They are balls to the wall. They are elbows out. They are pushing each other to the limit. But it's a good start actually from Craig ASHALL, as he's not lost any positions, but he's not gained any either, so he's in the right position to pick up the pieces if he's needed, really. Nick Bennett making quite a bad start, down into 10th after the first lap. That is not what he would be wanting, but it is still Will Howarth who leads the way as we come across the line to end lap 2. Will Howarth leads the way by just a gap of 1.1 seconds, so it has bridged. Well, yeah, he's set the fastest lap once again, and he's about 6/10 faster that lap, so Will Howarth clearly showing no stopping, as Holly Harris is still in this battle with the tractor as he tries to get away. That is, of course, Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS.
Of course, Will Howarth actually already holds the lap record here from last year, 53.014. So he's only 3/10 off the lap record at the moment, so you never know, we could actually be seeing a Minimoto lap record being broken today, or maybe tomorrow, who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But it is Will Howarth leading the way. As you said, the Birkins, it's Josh leading Matt for P2 and P3, Holly Harris up to P4. A lovely move there by her, doing very, very well. And Craig ASHALL meanwhile P5, Reece GENTRY P6, Ross Michael in 7th, Chris YEOMANS 8th, and then Nick Bennett is 9th with Callum WHITE in P10.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great start there from Will Howarth. As we've already said, the gap's now down to 1 second though, so Josh Birkins and Matt Birkins running off the podium. They'll be happy with that. It's something that's not unusual to see. And on your screen, Holly Harris 9 seconds off the lead, not too far off. She's still in a distance where she could potentially win the race. Of course, a British Talent Cup rider and a part of the FHO team, which is bringing so much young female talent up through the ranks, and really give them a support system and be able to help them get up through the ranks of racing, all the way from Minimotos and British Talent Cup all the way to places like Superbike, Super Stock, and even the TT that they're in now in sidecars. So it's a real... Oh, and Holly Harris is actually pulling into the pits.
No.
She's got some sort of issue. You can see the frustration. She hit the bike as she pulled into the pits. Commentator's curse, as I was just talking about her.
Oh, what a shame for Holly Harris. A problem with the bike. Pulls in, that looks to be her race done, unless there's a magical solution. Big shame. She was having such a great race as well. I mean, she's always on the verge of a podium whenever she turns up for the Minimotos. Big shame, but you know, that's racing. Sometimes doesn't quite go your way, sometimes luck is not on your side, and it is not on the side of Holly Harris today. But of course, you can always try again. Race 2 and 3 tomorrow, as always. Make sure you're tuning in, and if you are tuning in, and of course, thank you for being with us here for the day's worth of action here at round 3 of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship here at Ellough Park. And of course, if it's been your first time joining us, hello and welcome. We hope you've enjoyed all the fun, and there is plenty more to come tomorrow. But for now, it's not all over yet on this Saturday. 5 laps to go in race 1 of the Senior Minimoto, the final race of Saturday afternoon, and it is Will Howarth. There you can see him cutting through some traffic. Your leader, Josh BIRKIN in P2 and Matt BIRKIN in P3. Craig Gasler and Chris Yeomans rounding out the top 5. It's all about really kind of getting to the end of this race, really, for these Senior Minimotos guys, I feel. It's a very, very physical track. And obviously, it's late in the day as well. Lots of rubber's been laid down. It's hot. Everyone's probably feeling a little bit tired as well. They've been up all day and travelling yesterday and the day before, I'm sure, as well. So this one, I get the feeling it's more just get it to the end of the race in one piece. Let's save it all for tomorrow, because it is a tough track out there to ride on a Minimoto. It's very, very difficult, and let's just say they're usually banging into each other at every corner, shall we say. So I get the feeling that this is very much just take it chill and get it to the end of the race.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, we're at this time of night where the sun's down slightly and the sun really starts getting in your eyes. So having a dark visor like the BIRKIN brothers do right now on your screen, it really helps you just deal with that sunlight, while Will Howarth has a clear visor. So there'll be some corners and sometimes on the straight where he'll be slightly closing his eyes, squinting his eyes, because the sun is that strong. It's at that terrible angle where it really starts to mess with you. But Will Howarth still leads the way by just 1.9 seconds. So it's not like what we've seen in the Moto team race where he just went away and, swept the field. It's at this position now where Josh and Matt can still jump on him if he makes a slight issue. But as we've seen earlier, Holly Harris retiring. I did just remember, actually, in qualifying 2 today, she also had issues with the bike. She was sitting at the side of the track, and maybe it's the same issue, they just haven't managed to crack down on. Of course, these are Minimoto machines that are 2-strokes, which have been known to be a little bit unreliable. I mean, just one little air change can mess with these bikes sometimes with the carburetors and the jetting inside the carburetors. But Will Howarth making his way round the outside through some lap traffic there, done absolutely brilliantly. And the lap traffic just staying on its line like you're told to do throughout racing. It's just let the faster person get past you, and that's just been shown there. But it looks like actually the BIRKINs have bridged the gap between Will Howarth. The gap was down to just the 0.8 of a second last time round, and we head round to the final section of the track, just coming past pit lane through this chicane down this short run. It's quite a short straight through the final hairpin of the track before we head into this left-hander, which then leads on to sweeping right, which is called the final corner, which actually is the final corner, funnily enough. As we head on to the final lap, you'll see the yellow flag with the black cross out to start the last lap of the race. There's more lap traffic. Will this intervene with Will Howarth's plan? It looks like it won't there, because he went around the outside. That was a well done move, and it looks like actually Josh BIRKIN has been held up by lap traffic, as there's a 3-second gap between him and his brother. But Will Howarth still leads the way in this final lap, and he's extended track limits on the last lap, but so is Matt and Josh BIRKIN's straight behind him. I mean, they're using all the track and some, but it's quite a tricky position with the sun and with so much lap traffic around them, so it's completely understandable. But we're in the last lap. We're heading round to the final corners now. He has a wee look behind him to see that nobody is behind him, and he comes round this hairpin to then come to the fast left-hander, knee down, flat on the floor, full commitment through this final corner. It's a sweeping right-hander to see the checker flag and to see his first win in the first race of this weekend.
Yeah, great performance there by Will Howarth. Another dominant win. That's 2 from 2 in 2 different classes there. Brilliant stuff. And you were talking about the tinted visors of the BIRKIN brothers. Well, I love the clear visor of Will Howarth, because it just enables you to see into the rider's mind. You can see what they're feeling. And all I was getting from that was just pure determination the whole way through the race. He wanted to win that, and he took it in some style. He caps off a brilliant day's worth of racing and kicks off his weekend with an absolute bang. 2 wins in 2 categories in 2 races. Not a bad going there from Will Howarth at all, and he continues his winning streak that he's got going in the Senior Minimotos. That is now the last 6 races out of all of the 7 races that we've had so far that he's taken victory in. So great job there from him for Will Howarth as he brings it into the pits to undoubtedly celebrate. But of course, no hard feelings for us or everyone else. It's a real tight-knit community here in the Senior Minimoto paddock. It's Will Howarth who takes the win from Matt BIRKIN in P2. Josh BIRKIN is P3 with Craig ASHALL in P4. Chris YEOMANS comes home in P5. Nick Bennett is P6. Reece GENTRY is 7th. Callum WHITE is 8th. And then rounding out the top 10, it's Neil Skiller and Elliot SEARLE.
On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB-Racing.
Now it is time for the Senior Minimotos and their race 2. And well, if race 1 was anything to go by, as they make their way out onto the grid, well, we're in for another exciting race, to put it mildly.
Yeah, we certainly are. I mean, Will Howarth, we've seen today already him starting at the back of the grid and then already winning the race in the Moto team class. So he's already got experience on the track today. So Will Howarth, he's definitely one to watch. And it's our usual front boys who are going to be up there, elbows out, bikes out, sun's out, everything's out, and they will be pushing to the absolute limit. I mean, this class, we talk about it enough, them being best friends off track, but on track, you're about to see it. They're absolutely ruthless. Both the BIRKIN brothers, Will Howarth, Holly Harris, there's so many names in this class that can fight for victories. It's such a big grid. I mean, although it is a Senior Minimoto grid, you may think there may not be many adults wanting to do this. There's 21 riders in this, so it's great to see such big numbers.
Oh yeah, it is a big grid, and of course, while we may have lost Mr. Minimoto, Bernie Hook, as he goes into his retirement, we know he's watching along at home, and well, we wish him all the best. We've still got an absolutely packed grid of Senior Minimotos, full of talent as well. And, as you said, these guys, they are the best of mates off track. They're always having a laugh. You can just see what you walk into the paddock and you can just kind of sense where they are already, because you just know which is where the jokes and the laughs and all that is going to be. Seems like unfortunately we haven't got Holly Harris entering this race. She was here this weekend as she's seemingly having a problem on the dummy grid, and Will Howarth actually pulling off with some engine issues as well, so perhaps a few delays before we head on the way on our formation lap, because I can see Holly Harris out of my commentary box window in the dummy grid having a mechanical issue. Hopefully she can get that fixed. Of course, the British talent rider making her way over to Fab Racing this weekend and taking part and coming back to her roots. And Will Howarth seems to have sorted his issues. He had he had a dominant win earlier in the Moto team. Let's have a look and see what he can do here. So unfortunately, we can't confirm that Holly Harris, if she does start the race, she'll be starting from the back. It will be Josh BIRKIN going from the pole position, with Will Howarth starting alongside him. Matt BIRKIN starts in P3 with Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS in P4. P5 is Craig ASHALL. Holly Harris, unfortunately, a non-starter in P6. If she does start, she'll be starting from the back of the grid. Chris YEOMANS is in P7 with Nick Bennett in P8. And then row 5, Ross Michael and Callum WHITE round up the top 10. They're followed by Reece GENTRY and Elliot SEARLE, Shannon KING and David MYATT. Rick GOOSEY is 15th, Neil Skinner in 16th. Ruby Wild and Duncan DIAPER make up row 9, and Jessica Lucas, Steve Johns and Rob Gentry round out the grid. And another mechanical issue there, someone towards the back. Big shame. I mean, these Minimotos, they are pretty temperamental. They're not the most reliable machines in the world. And some riders having some problems out there.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're 2-stroke 40 to 50cc bikes, and sometimes they just give up, and sometimes it's the littlest things in the world. Sometimes it can just be simple jettings in the motorcycle, and people don't know yet what rider that is, but they're asking for some sort of help. But it can be something so small.
Yeah, I believe that might be Jessica Lucas, but I'll have to get that confirmed. She was going off of row 19, but hopefully she'll be able to get that sorted. Still no fix for Holly Harris if she was to get out of the double grid, but I can see they're still giving it a good go anyway. We'll have to wait and see what's going on. A bit of conversation between the flag marshals. They're not sure what the plan is for this race too. They're going to give it the green flag anyway. It's do or die time for Holly Harris. It's do or die time for the other riders, but the flag is up and the lights are going to come on now. It's lights out and we are underway for race 2 of the Minimotos, and it is a great start there from Will Howarth on the 96, sweeps into turn 1 in the lead. Matt BIRKIN behind managed to hold us for P2 as Richard Holmes-Williams takes P3 as well. We've got some changing position, I believe. That was Richard Holmes-Williams going past Matt BIRKIN actually, and Josh BIRKIN in the mix as well. But it's a good start, all clean so far. The front four already beginning to break away. Craig ASHALL maintaining that P5 zone, and that is definitely breaking track limits just a little bit. And well, we know that track limits being enforced quite harsh this weekend. Hopefully nothing happens there. But going around into Barney's hairpin for the first time, and a challenge for the lead, I believe that is, and I believe that it's Richard Holmes-Williams. Yes, so that's Will Howarth losing the lead of the race to the number 32, back to the Richard Holmes-Williams there, getting through on the 126. Great stuff there from him starting out this race, and he will cross the line in first position. Awesome stuff to lead lap 1.
Yeah, great start there from Richard Holmes-Williams, also known as the Tractor, but he's definitely not as slow as the Tractor right now. He is motoring on. He is leading the way from Will Howarth. Will Howarth has had some great success around this track, and even today he's had some great success, so he's going to want to try and repeat that. He's already done a race today, so his mind's already in it, so now it's just time just to push. But maybe, just maybe, he's sitting behind Richard Holmes-Williams because he's not used to racing with him this close, so he may just be trying to suss out where he can get past and where Richard Holmes-Williams may be slower, and maybe they might just be able to bridge a gap between both the BIRKIN brothers. Because the thing is, as soon as you start fighting in racing, you start to trip each other up. Your lap times become slower, and that is whenever more riders can get into play. And whenever you have both BIRKIN brothers in play, let's just say things start to get a bit crazy.
Oh, they absolutely do. As that's Will Howarth looking to the inside of Richard Holmes-Williams, maybe challenging. No, decides to stay and hold on to P2 for the time being. I'm not entirely sure why Richard Holmes-Williams. Oh, he's let him through. So Richard Holmes-Williams, I think he's acknowledged his track limits violation, and he has let Will Howarth back into the lead, but it might not be in the lead for long because he's already challenging and trying to get back past. But yeah, that was a moment of good sportsmanship there from Richard Holmes-Williams. It was that was a nice moment. Of course, he only turned up for one round last season. We've got a rider down coming through the last section. Only turned up one time last season at the penultimate round here at Ellough Park, funnily enough. Must be his local track. And absolutely dominated there. I mean, I assume that's why he's known as the Tractor, as that's a rider, having problems there at the side of the circuit. I assume that's why he's known as the Tractor. He's either local or comes from Ipswich, which is still relatively local anyway. And he's challenging now Will Howarth once again with 6 laps to go, this time by coming through turn 1. He's got the pace here at Ellough, but can Will Howarth absorb the pressure? He's been so quick here this weekend and everything he's touched. But Richard Holmes-Williams is all over the rear wheel. You couldn't fit a sheet of paper between them as they come into Holmes hairpin. Richard Holmes-Williams, he's given back the position after he acknowledged that he cut the track, but now he's fighting once again. It looks like he might have the pace to challenge for the lead, but he's got to get through Will Howarth, a fine rider out there, and he's got to make that gap appear.
Yeah, certainly it's easier said than done. Will Howarth is so fast around this track, but now they're just starting to get away from both the BIRKIN brothers. It's a 1.5 second gap, so it just looks like it's a two-man battle for the race win. I mean, 5 laps to go as we cross the line this time around. The race goes by so quick. Will Howarth still leads the way from, and he sets the fast lap of the race, just 1/10 off the lap record. They're running so fast. Will Howarth is getting pushed to his limit from Richard Holmes-Williams. It's certainly more pressure than what he's faced in the Moto team race. So how will he handle this? We've not seen Will Howarth under a proper amount of pressure yet this weekend, but now there's nothing between them. Richard Holmes-Williams, he's going to be trying just to force him into some kind of mistake, and there is one of the BIRKIN brothers, that is Josh BIRKIN, having a little battle there and trying to go as fast as he possibly can. But actually, I believe he's getting past some back markers there, which come into play quite a lot, and we could potentially see them coming into play with this race win, which hopefully we do not see. We hopefully just see it decided on the track like we like to see it, but just 5 laps to go. He's just trying as hard as he can to get past his back marker, but Josh BIRKIN, of course, the next man up from Will Howarth and Richard Williams. I mean, the gap's quite big right now, so it's all about Will Howarth just trying to get away as fast as he can. I mean, just 2/10 of a gap last time round, and then a 2-second gap back from Josh BIRKIN. So I think it's safe to say it's just a 2-man battle for the win.
Yeah, exactly. Looking further back as well. as looking further forward now rather instead as we go back to the battle for the lead. And HOLMES-WILLIAMS has once again pulled in Will Howarth, who, as you mentioned, look at the traffic getting in the way of HOLMES-WILLIAMS. That is not what he would have wanted. We've seen time and time again in all of the Minimoto races this weekend, traffic getting involved and causing problems for the leaders and interrupting and disrupting battles. And once again, we have seen that here as HOLMES-WILLIAMS, don't think he's lost too much time, but visually the gap is a lot bigger. There goes across the line now. It's now 0.6 of a second, so costing HOLMES-WILLIAMS about half a second. And now we have 3 laps to go. He's got to make that up once again. He is pushing so hard on that 126 bike and giving Will Howarth a really, really difficult time holding on to the lead of this race. But Howarth is holding firm out front at the moment. But again, some traffic to negotiate as they come out of the hairpin. And that's just well off the circuit, isn't it, Richard? Come on, let's talk about this a minute. We're talking about extending track limits, and then that was basically in a different postcode, frankly. But you know what? He didn't go for the overtakes. That's fine in my book. It is still Will Howarth leading the way. 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Will Howarth also ran off the track there, so both from the outside will be very surprised to see a penalty come in there, but just 3 laps to go in this race. Will Howarth leads the way. There's still nothing to that, but it looks like the gap has slightly widened over the past couple of laps. It just looks like Will Howarth has got into his dominant form, but that time round, Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS did set his personal best time of the race, and he was about a 10th faster than Will Howarth. So Will Howarth, it's not in the bag yet. Will Howarth is still going to have to give it absolutely everything, and he is. He was 1/10 off the lap record a couple of times round to go, and now just 2 laps to go. How will he handle this pressure? Usually Will Howarth, he soaks up the pressure. He's used to so much close racing with Darren Anderson or the BIRKIN brothers. He's used to this close racing, and he's used to this circuit. He's raced around here many years, and now he knows every little inch of this track, and you can just see the confidence that he has in his motorcycle. He's been racing this bike for quite some time now, and he loves racing it. We were speaking to him earlier on in the week, and he says he cares about this class as much as the Moto team. Although the Moto team's a bigger bike, he cares about us just as much. But going on to the last lap now, Will Howarth was significantly faster than Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS that time round. Now the gap is a 1.1 second lead over Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS. It was a 53.2 that time round from Will Howarth, and a 53.8 from Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS, and it looks like he's going very slow, so it may have some kind of a problem there. He's
wonder if his tyres are going,
trying to get past.
Yeah, I wonder if he's starting to run out of tyre maybe. It is very warm out there. These Minimotos, very easy to overheat the tyres. He drops a long way back, still in second place. So that might be it, I'm afraid, for the challenge of Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS. But not that Will Howarth cares. It caps off another fantastic performance and a dominant weekend it's been so far for the rider who rounds the penultimate corner. Will Howarth is going to take the checkered flag, and he's going to take race 2 of the Senior Minimotos with a fantastic defensive ride, holding off the pressure from HOLMES-WILLIAMS, who manages to bring it home in second after dropping back on the final lap. Josh BIRKIN brings it home in P3 as well. But again, Will Howarth, absolutely phenomenal around here, no matter what bike he's on.
Yeah, it was a great ride once again from Will Howarth. That time he had slightly more competition, and he's just soaked up that pressure. He loves a bit of pressure. He loves battling for a race win, although it was very close. At one point, practically touching his back tyre, it was Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS. Although that was happening, he kept his cool and managed to get a 3-second gap over his race win. I mean, you can't do it any better than that, really. But it was a great ride once again, and there we have it, just the last couple of rides coming across the line, and we see confirmation of a 3-second win from Richard HOLMES-WILLIAMS, and Josh and Matt Birkins coming home in 3rd and 4th, Craig ASHALL in 5th, Nick Bennett 6th, Reece GENTRY in 7th, Elliot SEARLE in 8th, Callum WHITE in 9th, and Ross Michael in 10th, rounding out your top 10. It was a great race once again. It's exactly what we expect to see from Will Howarth. I mean, he's just dominant, and there is the rider pushing the bike back to the pits that had the issue on the warm-up lap.
Yeah, that was Jessica Lucas, unfortunately, who he's classified as a DNF, unfortunately, unlike Holly Harris, who was classified as a DNS, did not start. Unfortunately, because she made it to the grid. That is a DNF for Jessica Lucas. Reliability issues coming into play once again. Who knows what she would have been able to have done, but of course she can try again later on in race 3. We've still got one more race of a Senior Minimoto action to look forward to later on this afternoon.
On the road to MotoGP, this is Fab Racing.
Race 3 of the Senior Minimotos, and we've had 2 absolutely crazy races so far already. Can Will Howarth do it again? He's had a dominant weekend on everything he's touched so far, Lewis, and once again lining up on that front row. If you're a betting man, you've got to put your money on him.
Oh yeah, you certainly do. I mean, Will Howarth, he's had a great weekend. All classes he's taken part in. Obviously, he's just trying to create more happy memories, as we've mentioned multiple times over the course of the weekend, with his brake failure at turn 1. But it's been great weekend for him. There is lineup number 96. Some riders actually opting not to run a fairing on these Minimotos. Some opting to run a fairing. It just depends how you fit and what you prefer. And if you crash, for example, usually without a fairing, it's slightly less damage that occurs. But some say this is the pinnacle Minimoto racing for adults because, well, it's the only real time we get to see adults on such small bikes, and it produces what can be quite funny pictures, to be honest, and produces what still is great racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, just an 8-lap race. We've got a bike stuck on the dummy grid, so we're just waiting for the formation lap to get away. But it is unfortunately an 8-lap race instead of a 9-lap race due to the length of that red flag period earlier on. But why not run you through the grid for one final time? The last race of the weekend for Fab Racing overall, and for the Senior Minimoto as well. It's Josh BIRKIN going from pole, but the dominant man here at Ellough Park this weekend in everything he's touched. Will Howarth goes from P2. Can he make it another win? Matt BIRKIN starts in P3 with Richard Holmes-Williams in P4. Craig Ashley's P5. Holly Harris should start in P6, but I'm not entirely sure if she's out there on track. No, she is, so Holly Harris does start in P6. Chris YEOMANS is in P7 with Nick Bennett P8, with Ross Michael and Callum White rounding up the top 10. Row 6 is Reece GENTRY and Elliot SEARLE, with Shannon KING in 13th and David MYATT in 14th. Ricky GOOSEY is P15 with Neil Skinner in P16, with Ruby Wild in 17th, Duncan DIAPER 18th, and rounding out the group we've got Jessica Lucas, Steve Johns and Rob Gentry for the final race of this weekend here in Ellough Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great race, and it's Matt BIRKIN, actually, I noticed on the grid, his number 5 for his number is made out of a piece of cardboard. I kid you not. I mean, if you can get a shot, I mean, he's the second on the right hand side. He has a number 5 written on a piece of cardboard, and that is what we call grassroots, I guess. I mean, at least he's on the grid. I guess he must have some sort of issue with his fairing, so now he's thought, let's use a piece of cardboard, save some weight as well. Happy at the end of the day. I mean, you can read it's a number 5 in his defence, and we wait for the lights to go out. The green flag waves at the back. All riders wait for the flag marshal to go off. We all stare at the lights. Lights are on and lights are off. Can Will Howarth do it again? Let's find out. Will Howarth makes a pretty good start from Josh BIRKIN. Josh BIRKIN's in second place, but it's the tractor. Richard Holmes-Williams in second place. We've seen him race 2. Richard Holmes-Williams and Will Howarth juked it out with only a couple laps to go, and then Will Howarth started to do his dominant fashion. But can Richard Holmes-Williams make it one place more? There's Holly Harris on your screen, and there's some track limit violations on your screen.
Tristan Finocchiaro would be proud. Richard Holmes-Williams extending track limits just a little bit there, I think, but he's got a massive run coming into Barney Hairpin. Did he get through? Let's find out as they come back to frame. Yes, he did! Richard Holmes-Williams gets back through Barney's hairpin once again, but we saw in race 2 he did a similar thing. Went off track coming out of the Holmes hairpin, got through at Barney's, and then let Will Howarth a few laps later. Will he do the same thing again? I'm not sure. Let's find out. Will Howarth, he's got a fight on his hands behind as well. We've got Josh BIRKIN there. Or it's Chris YEOMANS rather. No, it is Josh BIRKIN. He's just a problem with the transponder briefly. Josh BIRKIN in P3. We've got Matt BIRKIN nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, he's dropped a long way back.
Yeah, Matt BIRKIN just sliding off at the final hairpin there.
Oh, is he? Yeah, that would explain why. Matt BIRKIN onto the deck. Hopefully he's managed to get going again, and I believe he has. So that's a shame though for Matt BIRKIN, the cardboard cutout boy, dropping down the order. There is Richard Holmes-Williams leading from Will Howarth. Can we Howarth cap off the perfect weekend by saying goodbye to Ellough Park? As was that was that Richard Holmes-Williams letting him through again? I think it was. He was on the brakes very early. Will Howarth back to the lead. I think he's been let through once again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just handing it back from that track limits violation. Maybe doesn't want to get a penalty, but that would make it just 6 laps to go in this race. Will Howarth fastest lap of the race that time around for 53.668. Only person on this grid right now in the 53s. There's Josh Birkin's caught into the back of Richard Holmes-Williams. He will want to try and get past. He will want to try and get a second place. Josh and Matt not being quite at Will Howarth's pace over the course of the weekend, but can this all change in race 3? Track limit violations once again. This is the thing about adult Minimoto racing. They're all here for fun. They all push each other to the limits. They all use the track limits and then some. I mean, it is great to see, and Will Howarth, it's great to see such dominant fashion. 1 second lead already in the number 96 Minimoto, but it is Richard Holmes-Williams who is under immense pressure from Josh Birkins right now. Josh Birkins wants a great result. You can see it. You can see the determination. They try to become as aerodynamic as physically possible, but there's no way to get past. It's such a tight and twisty track, and with the rider on this Minimoto, it makes it so difficult to pass.
It does indeed, and while he's under massive pressure, I can assure you Richard Holmes-Williams has got a massive smile underneath that helmet. These guys will absolutely love what they do. There's a reason they turn up weekend after weekend, seeing some battles further back in the track as well. Oh, that's Richard Holmes-Williams letting him through as well. So I think Richard Holmes-Williams has acknowledged that actually Josh Birkin might have a bit more pace, and they're trying to let him through. He's trying to let Josh through, maybe let Josh catch up to Will Howarth maybe. Yeah, interesting stuff there from Richard Holmes-Williams, but drops down to P3. Josh Birkin up to P2, matching his racing number. But it is still Will Howarth leading the way on that number 96 machine, dominating as he has the weekend in general. It's another ridiculously fast lap time of 53.301, only 0.5 of a second off his own lap record, which he set last year, obviously before the brake failure. But yeah, Josh Birkin moves up to P2. He does set a faster lap than Richard Holmes-Williams, so I'm not entirely sure what Richard Holmes-Williams on the 126 was doing there, but we'll have to wait and see if he's got a plan up his sleeve. Still 4 laps left to go of FAB Racing action this weekend. Meanwhile, Holly Harris didn't get the best start that she's had this weekend. She'll be wanting to move forward, currently in P6 fighting with Chris Yeomans moving up the inside of Chris Yeomans. Lovely move there by Holly Harris to get into P5. Can she make it stick? Yes, great stuff.
Yeah, Holly Harris on the side of her helmet. She does have the FHO sticker, and the FHO of course brings a lot of females through the ranks all the way to British Superbikes pretty much now. They have almost a rider, a support rider in every single class, and it's a great way to get women involved, and women really just to see that it is possible and you can be out here on track. Of course, if you are wanting to do this, head over to the FAB Racing website. It's possible for almost anyone to do this. It is close racing, it is great stuff, and it teaches you a lot outside of racing as well. It matures people quite faster, and yeah, it's great stuff. And Holly Harris, a great example of a rider that then comes back to FAB even after learning through FAB to then teach people what she's learned, and it's great to see. And meanwhile, actually, Matt Birkins has made it back up to 8th place after crashing, ending in about 17th, 16th position from crashing. They managed to pick it back up almost straight away, but it's Will Howarth making his way through some lap traffic there. Absolute perfect stuff. It just depends when you hit lap traffic. We see it all weekend, and it's a great ride from Will Howarth so far. The gap was over 2.5 seconds now.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty dominant performance once again from Will Howarth. Josh Birkin actually closing in a little bit on that last lap, but that's possibly due to the traffic that Matt has found himself in. Richard Holmes-Williams, that really wasn't a great lap last time around in the 56s, while the two competitors in front of him in the 54s. So maybe some problems with this lap traffic, or maybe some bike issues. That would explain why he was waving people through if he's got issues. Doesn't want to hold anyone up. But there's 1.5 laps to go, and Will Howarth, the man who has absolutely owned the Ellough Park circuit this year, leading the way in a dominant fashion once again. In both Moto team and Minimoto, he has been absolutely superb. And honestly, I don't have anything else to say. It's been one of the best weekends ever for him. He has been absolutely on it.
Yeah, he's been on fire in both classes, both the Minimotos and the Moto team. He's just got in a rhythm. Once he got that first dominant win, he's got in some sort of mood that he thought, I can do this again and again and again. But Josh Birkins once again eats into that gap. That's only 1.8 seconds. what could have been if Josh could pick up this pace slightly earlier and we had not a shortened race. But just on this last lap, it looks like it's all in Will Howarth's hands. Not as dominant as what we've seen this weekend, but still an incredible ride. Maybe just playing a bit more safe with it being the last race of the day. He knows that he has it in the bag. He knows that all he has to do right now is stay on the bike. Holly Harris making her way up to 4th place now. A great ride from her, being played on bike issues all weekend. But all eyes are on Will Howarth. 3 corners to go, that is all. Through the hairpin, knee absolutely flat on the ground, looks over to the crowd will be cheering right now, through the left and then to the right to then see the checker flag. He will be delighted with his race win. Will Howarth wins again, another dominant performance, but at the line there, only 9/10. Josh Birkins with some amazing late race pace, and then Richard Holmes-Williams should come home to take 3rd place. That's not, it's Holly Harris.
Holly Harris
to take 3rd place, and Craig ASHALL in 4th. Richard Holmes-Williams dropped down to 5th place, so he must have had some sort of bike issue on that last couple of laps.
Awesome result for the British Talent Cup rider. I mean, I don't know, but that's the first time I've seen a female podium getter in the Senior Minimoto here. So I've been told on my ear that's no, but it's the first time I've seen it. So it was still an amazing run. That's the best result she's had this year as well. So awesome stuff from Holly Harris. And yeah, Will Howarth again, absolutely domination at Ellough Park, and he has owned the 3rd round of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship in everything he's touched. Will Howarth takes a dominant win with Josh Birkin in P2 and Holly Harris coming on her best result so far this year at FAB-Racing in P3. I'm sure that'll leave a smile on her face as she heads home following a great weekend's worth of racing. But yeah, Will Howarth, absolute domination once again. I've never known someone to just win so much at a track in one weekend. I mean, maybe Archie O'Brien last year in some of the other classes, but Will Howarth has been absolutely on it today. He has just been absolutely phenomenal. There you are, confirming his victory. Will Howarth, by just under a second, takes the win from Josh Birkin in P2 with Holly Harris in P3. Craig ASHALL comes home in P4 with Richard Holmes-Williams in P5, Chris YEOMANS in P6, Nick Bennett in P7, Matt Burke in P8, Reece GENTRY P9 and Ross Michael in P10. Will Howarth then extending his championship lead in the Senior Minimotos. That was perfection.